Am I wrong for telling my mom I'd rather spend my vacation at the beach than sleep in her living room? I have been living abroad for almost 2 years, and I haven't visited home since I moved away. Next year, I will have the opportunity to take a month off work with a paid round-trip flight. This is part of my job's bonus structure, to visit home. This trip wouldn't be until the late spring at the earliest, but I decided to talk to my family about it now because I know my parents like to plan trips every year in the spring and summer. My parents live in a 4-bedroom house, which are currently used as a master suite, a guest room, and 2 offices. My dad works from home and my mom's job is hybrid, so hers is also a craft room. My 28-year-old brother has been living in the guest room since last fall when his ex-girlfriend dumped him and kicked him out. He is saving money for a down payment on a house and they do not charge him rent to live there. When I asked my mom if I would be able to stay with them for the month I have off, she told me I would be more than welcome to crash on an air mattress in the living room, but she wouldn't be inconveniencing my brother just for me. I was really confused by this, because I hadn't even mentioned my brother. She then told me that since my brother also works from home, he's been using her office to work in addition to the guest room, and that means I wouldn't be able to use her office for an air mattress. For the record, the room he sleeps in has a nice handmade desk built into one of the corners that I guess he uses for a large flat screen. I asked her if it was realistic to assume my brother would even still be there 8 months from now, considering he's supposedly saving for a house. She said he doesn't currently make enough to afford a house in their town and he's unwilling to consider a neighboring town, which is what my other 2 siblings did when they bought their houses, so he's living there indefinitely. I was annoyed. My brother is the youngest and she has a history of prioritizing whatever he wants over the needs and desires of her other 3 children, and I told her I wouldn't be sleeping on the floor of an open room for a month. I said if I was going to be paying for an Airbnb, I'd rather go to the beach. She was offended that I'd go somewhere else and told me they'd all really like to see me. I told her if she really wanted to see me she'd put a little more effort into making sure I was comfortable while I was there. The call ended poorly. This was a few weeks ago, and I haven't responded. When I explained what happened to my older brother, he agreed that my mom is being a bit unreasonable, but my sister told me I was acting entitled and I should be grateful they'd let me stay at all. I told my sister I'm just going to rent an Airbnb at the beach and they can come see me if they want. Am I the AH for refusing to stay with them if I have to sleep on the living room floor? Am I wrong for not giving up airplane seat to 8-year-old girl? I, 26-year-old male, and my girlfriend, 25-year-old female, were boarding a plane and going to our seats, center and window seat, where we paid extra so that we can sit next to each other on the flight. After getting to our 3-seat aisle, there was a mother and an 8-year-old girl where one of them was in our seats. We asked about the seating assignments and the mother stated that the airline crew told her that she and her daughter must sit next to each other and that the center seat belongs to her daughter. We called a crew member over to help sort things. The mother emphasized that her daughter is only 8-year-old and it's a long flight, for hours, so that they needed to sit next to each other. Note that she changes the story a bit here while shushing her daughter when the daughter is trying to explain the situation herself. The crew member told the mother that she should have asked AO, not sure what this means, about this prior to boarding, while adding that since the flight is in full capacity and the seats are assigned, they should stay at their assigned seat, and need to ask me and my GF if we're okay with switching. The mother argued that she asked us, but we said no. In reality, the mother never asked us, only proclaimed the seat is theirs, before the crew member came by. While I am perfectly fine with switching seats so a mother and young daughter can sit with each other on a flight, I don't appreciate being lied to, potentially manipulated, and guilt-tripped so they can get their way. Still at this point, the mother never asked us to switch and probably assumed we would say no. While the daughter started to move back to her seat, the father in the next aisle tried to guilt-trip me stating, "She's an 8-year-old girl, come on man." I told him that if the mother was more professional about the situation instead of lying to us, there wouldn't be an issue. He then yelled "Fuck you," that I am the reason the world is fucked up and to wait till I have a daughter to understand. At the end, we found out that the mother's and daughter's seats were 1 row apart. Am I the AH? Am I wrong for intentionally drinking at family events so I'm not forced to babysit? I, 30-year-old male, am the only one of my siblings without children. This is a personal choice for many reasons I won't get into. My parents live with my sister who is 9 years older and has 2 kids I see often. However, my brother, 2 years older, has a young girl and 2 little boys. All 3 are likely on the spectrum, but my brother and his wife refuse to check through a doctor. They're also homeschooled in a very rural area, and I don't get to see my brother and his family very often, maybe once a year. Every time I do spend time with my brother and his family, it never fails that he finds a way to dump his 3 kids on me, who may have special needs, the second he can, so him and his wife can disappear from the kids' area. I really only see my brother's family during large family events. The kids usually have their own separate area to play and eat away from the adults smoking cigarettes and drinking, etc., so they can socialize and let loose, so to speak. My brother's 3 kids don't leave the house very much. Almost never. They live on a big farm, so when they go to these kind of events, they're over the top excited and harder to manage, and one is nonverbal but constantly walks around, looking to play with literally deadly things, so needless to say, I'm not qualified or even capable to watch my brother's 3 kids by myself as well as they need. Plus their cousins, my sister's kids, also want to spend time with their cousins, so I'm sitting there by myself, watching 5 kids aged 4 to 8 by myself, 3 of which may have special needs. One is a fucking monster, don't at me, and because I'm the cool uncle, I gave them a Nintendo Switch for my own peace of mind. My brother assumes every time, I'll just watch his F***K trophies. It's gotten so blatant on my brother's end that lately at family events, my brother will give me a physical paper list of parental duties, a backpack with stuff for the kids, then turn his phone off in front of me, then walk away after dumping his kids on me. I go to these family events to spend time with my whole family, not to be an isolated babysitter. I love my nieces and nephews, but this is one of the reasons I didn't have children in my 20s. Family events are just as important to me as other parents there, and they can manage to watch their own kids, but my brother always finds a way to ditch me with his kids, then ultimately my sister's kids join in too. I don't go to these family events to be a babysitter, so I just started drinking a bit before I show up and drink a little bit consistently enough to safely say I shouldn't have 5 small children in my care. Since these times are really the only times my brother sees me, he thinks I'm a drunk and spreading rumors as such. Am I wrong for urging my husband to go to work, despite him having an upset stomach? My husband is your typical man flu guy, who wants to be babied if he gets a small sniffle. Love him to death, and he is truly a fantastic person all the way around, but it's like a war zone in my house whenever he feels even remotely ill, like even a small headache, he starts going off. Last night, he ate a bunch of ice cream. He is lactose sensitive, and due to this, he is feeling it today. He has an upset stomach and immediately started whining the second he woke up. Him whining is like him groaning really loud, almost like he wants that to be the only thing you can hear. Heavily sighing, kind of sounds like a toddler who is made for not getting their way. So he was doing that, and almost immediately following starts asking me to cater to him. Fetch him ice water, run a cool shower, get him a towel, help him get motivated, etc. I don't have the time, energy or patience for this today, especially knowing he caused it. We have 3 children who I need to tend to, a farm to run, multiple dogs to feed, and I work from home today, and it's already 107 degrees, and it's only 8 a.m. I don't have it in me to cater to him on top of it all. So he starts talking about taking the day off from work, and I told him he should just go in and feel it out and see how he feels throughout the day. I said this after he told me he felt a bit better after a cold shower. I convinced him that maybe he wasn't drinking enough water. Anyways, by the end of it and lots of convincing later, he leaves for work. For all wondering, yes, it's just because of the lactose sensitivity, we made sure, as we have rapid tests on hand. So he leaves, but calls me about 20 minutes ago and was like, "You just didn't want to deal with me at the house, that's it, right?" So I was honest and told him I had far too much to do today, so catering to him like he would fully expect had he stayed home would put far too much on my shoulders, and I wasn't willing to run myself on empty today. This is my only somewhat down day in comparison to other days because I volunteer at the soup kitchen, run a charity program with the church, and I also lend a farmhand to other neighbors, so today was the only day I didn't have to do those extras and could focus on my own work, farm and kids. He says I'm an because I'm choosing to make him feel terrible and make him go to work just because I didn't want to deal with it. I reminded him it was his fault, he felt like that anyhow, and I'm not his mother, so if he wanted to stay home, he could tend to himself because I wasn't doing it today. He hung up but stayed at work. Am I the